Welcome back to another episode of Who Should You Choose video series where I go through the prior videos, questions, and comments and help you with your hot lineup decisions. This past week's Who Should You Choose videos have been so fun because it's literally just going through and finding the super niche, unknown things that everyone thinks everyone knows. We talked about how to change your arena's goal horn and changing your power play line, stuff that isn't front facing. And there's been a few that I didn't even know, including this banger that I have not tested. But if this is actually true, I almost don't want to say it, but I cannot believe if this is true that it was not relayed in any sort of way by EA. This is the definition of your game is very confusing. All right, let's just get into it because this one actually blew my mind so much so that I went out and bought one. So here we go. All right, this is from Infinity Prime. All right. If you choose a PWHL arena as your home arena when you have a home game, it will use PWHL rules. Meaning, if you take a penalty, you can't change your lines, just like an icing. The players that were on the ice have to stay. Also, if you score a goal while shorthanded, you jailbreak your player. So if you score shorthanded, your guy comes out of the box. So, if you're a player that draws a lot of penalties, you might want to consider switching to a PWHL arena to mess with your opponent's ability to put penalty killers on the ice. Just so you know, hopefully this makes your top fit. I went out and I didn't even realize PWHL arenas were in the game because arenas are... There's some like the outside and the European, but for the most part, there's very little differences. Like MSG, you can tell when you're playing at MSG. So... Man, the stamina issue, I'm now starting to get in my head that maybe it's because, and I'm not even realizing that my players that I have on the penalty kill are locked in because people are using the PW. I've never noticed the jailbreak thing, but I feel like there's a lot less shorthanded goals this year than in years past, probably because of the full pressure system and things like that. But I can't believe this is true in HUT. I can't wait to test it, though. I went out and bought a PWHL arena. This one blew my mind because this is this changes the actual rules of the game that we're playing because the PWHL has separate rules than what they play in the NHL. So I can't believe that is actually what would happen, but I don't pay attention enough to my penalty killers and things like that, because you're right. If you're someone that holds onto the puck forever and you're playing someone who is just spamming R1, I'm just going to get them to take a penalty and their line is just stuck out there. Also, they need to make a way to be able to acquire your favorite players. I've been farming coins. I have almost 500,000, but I can't get 94 Caulfield because there's never any on the auction house. I would love a way to acquire specific cards from your favorite team. Whether it's a weekly card from your favorite team in the store for like 200K, or at the start of the year where you pick your favorite team. You get a set of objectives that if you complete the players from your favorite, you unlock the cards from them. Each set you complete, you can unlock a player from your team that leads or is good at the stat. For example, if you score 100 goals to have players, you unlock an 85 Caulfield at the start of the year. Or get 1,000 hits, you unlock an 86 Jack Guy. So what you're talking about here is 100% something that I would like to see. This is like an architecture change, though, to how content is released. Because to do it for one... So this is why here is my thought process on this. Because I'm a firm believer now that with the new content team, the major reasons why we have had... I don't want to say a hatred, but I mean, it's bordering on hatred. Okay, I think that the content team has done some things differently that have gone over well. The fantasy event, for example, right? Like, that is a win, okay? But the game has been the exact same from a content standpoint for 6 years. And every year we would complain that it's the same thing every year. The events are the same. We would get heavy hitters 7.0 or style icons 3 or whatever. And then you would save everything for fantasy, team of the year, and team of the season. Boring. It was. However, the old content team figured it out. Here's 7 years of doing the same thing. This is the best way to suck as much out of the old tech architecture that we have to release content. So the new content team's like, no, we're not doing anything that the old content team did. And then that, absence makes the heart grow fonder. And we're all like, hey, no one likes change, especially in a video game that we live. Like everyone that plays the game now is still playing it, and you didn't just start. You're addicted to the game, just like all of us. And everyone has, I think, in this day and age, in 2025, you have like your home game, right? And NHL is just like your home game, right? You don't really venture out and try other old or new games when they come out. You wait for the hype to die down, and really you're just like, hey, this few hours I have, I know that I like hockey. I understand HUT, so I'm just gonna play that all the time when I have free time. And the problem is that we don't want to have a lot of change because we figured it out, right? It's very easy. And now there's a lot of building our team. It's a lot of rug pulling. Like beginning of the year, X Factor Connor McDavid. Okay, that isn't how it normally operates, but he gets free abilities and looks cool and has moving card art. Cool. 4 million to 5 million coins to make him. That's absurd. And then they completely ruin the value when they, give him the exact same card for team of the year and we have to pay on top of it. Like things like that. So to get this, it requires a complete content overhaul. I'm talking like tech, the menus, the architecture of how we receive like how they can actually send cards out, right? Like think about objectives, right? If you go back to I think NHL 23 was when they introduced Objectives 2.0, they called it, right? And that was when they could track goals, assists, block shots, deeks with specific types of cards. Because before NHL 23, objectives were complete X amount of games with the event card. And that was it. That was all we had for objectives, which was awful. Like, that's terrible, It's better than not having any objectives, but it was terrible, right? So they would have to come up with a whole new system to allow programs and things like that where it's like collection based or milestones and things like that. But then the issue that I think that they would run into is that they would have to do it for every franchise. So that's 32 teams now where they've got to come out with like a ton of different milestones to hit, which that's their job, figure it out, right? The issue is that it's a yearly based game. The bigger issue, this is what I think it is that Ultimate Team games, sports games, and why you don't see massive change other than MLB. MLB did try to go completely out in left field, right? When it comes to how they release content. And it failed, right? At least the way that they did it. And they went back to what it was, is that if you make a drastic change and it fails, that means all those shareholders and all those guys that own the yachts and everyone doesn't buy packs and you lose all of that yearly income. They don't sign off on those big changes. That's my honest guess. I have no insight at the back of EA if that's how it's worked, but I'm just like trying to be realistic from a business standpoint. Like if they were like, we're going to change everything they do in a game mode that is like more than 50% of their total revenue probably for a year. And I feel like that's why they avoid doing complete content overhauls, but this game desperately needs it. Desperately needs, even if it doesn't, they need to just make it the same every year so that at least we know, because the alternative is what we got this year. And like I said, man, they did some good, but next year's game from a content standpoint is just going to be, I'm not going to be like, it's the most important year ever. Everyone says that every year. It's the most interesting. Like, did they learn? Are they doubling down on things we don't like? Are they, reverting back to what we used to like with chase cards or power of icons? Like, I am so, and plus I also have no interaction with these people, so I have no idea what they're doing, and that's kind of exciting, I guess, in that standpoint, because I'm going to play the game regardless all year round. But it's this idea is so cool. But I just wanted to highlight, sorry that I said so long on this one question, guys. If this PWHL arena thing is actually legit in Hockey Ultimate Team and it works in Rivals, like, anyways, Mark says, here are a few tips and tricks that aren't super obvious. You can do a one-touch pass by hitting the pass button during the previous pass. So this was introduced a couple years ago, and it's okay in very specific situations. I find that the second pass has like no pass assist, and it's very difficult to get it to go. And half the time, what ends up happening is queuing, where you've double tapped right trigger twice, and you've done a second pass when you didn't want to. Like, that's one. If your goalie is stuck in one of those animations where he can't pass, so he's like, he's when you catch the puck and you want to play the puck out, but it's like, he's stuck and he won't do it. If you pull him, it'll make him stand up and then you can immediately return them and you'll pass. This is a very high-end, sweaty, you smell bad if you do stuff like this, but that is a way that will work. He says you can aim deflections. This is like tinfoil hat stuff, and I'm sure there'll be people in the comments that be like, yes, you can. The amount of testing I've done on this, you don't aim deflections from the player that deflects the puck. You aim deflections from when you shoot towards the. So I'll give you an example. But player, if you wanna hit top corner, okay, like you see the goalies in the butterfly or something like that, or you have a player that's in front of the net with his stick on the ice, if you fire it low towards his stick, not ignoring the goalie, it will tip up, right? Just like how if you shoot high far side and you want him to tip it down because he's got a stick standing like upright, you can aim it like that. Holding RB R1 and poke check by pressing the right stick. I talked about this yesterday. That's a good one. So if you're holding out R1, instead of tapping it again where he pulls the stick back and goes it again, he'll keep the stick outright while you're holding R1, click in R3, and he'll lunge again. And then holding down the left trigger and moving the right stick from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock or 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock to get more of an accurate spin. You don't have to do this, but that is a way to do it. Might not be little known, but I feel like there isn't anything that shows you can multi-select tradable players in your collection and send them to the trade pile. And from the trade pile, you can compare prices in the auction house for that player instead of just listing it for the sale in your binder. Yes, so multi-select and all that stuff broke this year, and they didn't want to take the dev time to fix it, it appears. So what you can do is with tradable players, you can multi-select them in your collection, and when you hit X, you hit send to trade pile or whatever it's called. I think it's called trade pile. And then go to the auction house, click on trade pile, and in there, you've got all the cards that you want to sell specifically. And you can click on one and then hit compare price, and it will show you all of that specific card in the auction house. And then you can list for whatever price you want to listen to. Also, a lot of stick mechanics are available on Total Controls. One Hand, Datsu, Toe Drag. Guys, Total Controls, you can do... there is not one single thing on Skill Stick that you can't do on Total Controls. You can do everything. So here's how I describe Total Controls. If you were to... Total Controls is everything that you... I use the Skill Stick on Total Controls. But the only thing that I do that is... different or reason why I use Total Controls is the Michigan. And I use it maybe once every like 10 to 12 games if someone is middle sitting and not covering the post at all. Other than that, man, there's no there's a lot of truthers out there that like Skill Stick is the best and still like you're a loser if you use Total Controls. There's no difference, man. There's no like you hitting right thumbstick to reverse hit instead of hitting A or X. I'd rather just hit A or X. I don't know why. I mean, I guess technically you're taking your hand off the stick, but is what it is. Like, there isn't really any. But all of the deeks, you can do them on Total Controls with the skill stick. You don't have to use the buttons. I'm not sure if this is mentioned before, but for newer players, you can change your max ping and setting a skill rating for rivals. 100% people don't know about this. And this I will include in the video. So when you're on the screen where it would be like where you would choose your jerseys, like you see your player, right? Like, and if you hit left trigger, it'll pull up selecting your max ping. And then, so what you want it to search for, you want to leave this on like the lowest you possibly can, and then max skill rating. So the problem is that you won't find a game very much if you leave it on 50, but a lot of people are probably set to like 250, and there's a reason why some games you're smoking people, and there's other games where like you're getting drilled because you're going 250 above what your ranking is. We desperately need icon switching on defense like we do for bat. Bro, when I saw icon passing for the first time, I remember being in like the call where they showed it to us, and I thought it was on defense. I was so excited because I've been saying this for years as well. This has been another staple. Player switching on defense or on the rush. There's a play that is so frustrating as a defending player when you're on the rush, okay? You can manually player select, holding down right trigger, aiming the right thumbstick in the area in which you want to select the player. Here's the issue. 2 forecheckers up top, 1 in the middle of the ice, 2 defensemen defending the rush, okay? The guy is in the middle of the ice, and you want to select that middle of the X, okay, in the neutral zone. If you hold down right trigger and aim it left or right or wherever you are on the ice to select that player, you can't get the middle player because it goes to the far side, right? Like you can't like choose the depth at which you select, right? So if you held down right trigger and hit X to switch to your centerman, changes the game. Or on defense specifically. On defense, one of the best things I've noticed when it comes to player switching is by being aggressive, and then when you've got a far side pass open or something in the middle of the ice that's close to your goalie, hold down right trigger, click in the right thumbstick. It will auto select the closest player to your goaltender, which then is usually your defenseman right in front of the net. That's a way to do it. But the icon passing, bro, or icon on defense, man, I've been asking for that for years. Calling a timeout gets players full stamina and also takes away full pressure. And calling a timeout as your players are going to the face-off circle makes it so the other person can't put out the line they want. It's kind of scummy, but I think this is how it should work if you're the home team. But yeah, the calling a face. So what he's talking about here. First of all, if you ice the puck and then try to take your timeout, you will not get your stamina back. Okay, because on an icing you can't change lines. Okay, so just be wary of that. All right. But yeah, so like if you are stuck in the defensive zone or anything like that, or if you've got full pressure, yeah, if you take the timeout, it will get rid of all of that. And then waiting until the cinematic pulls over so that you're lining up for the faceoff, you take your timeout then, like pause and then timeout, it will lock that player into that line. I always find it kind of scummy, but like that is gamesmanship technically. So Jordan, what's up, my man? Hey, dude, thanks for the content. Since I first started playing Hut in 2019, even when play drops off, you're still a top channel for me. You're rad. I appreciate that, buddy. I thought today for the first time, and there were too many. I thought today for the first time that there were too many fantasy cards. Though it is the end of the year, so I consider that. And they're just so fun because it's tied to real hockey. So what if the Hut version of Live Series was just a spin on fantasy for more variance on fantasy? 1 or 2 cards per team at the beginning of the year that start out at their EA NHL rating and go up or down throughout the year, maybe once a month, since people love upgrades or plus ones every month. If they can adjust the stats for fantasy every day, every work day, they can adjust EA Live cards once a month. Oh, God, I would love this, man. You know what would spice up X Factors? If X Factors worked like this. So one of the things that we talk about, like about the Live Series, for you don't know if anyone that doesn't know, that's an MLB. All of the base cards, essentially, this is gonna blow people's minds that don't play MLB. But like, imagine all of the Hut base cards that come out at the beginning of the year. They go up and down based on real life performance. They can become 87s or 95s based on real life performance. They can also fall 7 overall points if they have a really bad season. It's one of the best parts about MLB. But it also changes the value of cards. And I'll be honest with you, Live Series cards are pretty boring other than the collection aspect of it, right? Like they aren't really usable after about 3 or 4 weeks in the season. There's a few, but the problem is though they're touching ratings on 700 different players. There's no way that EA has the capacity to do that. That would have to be AI. But if it was imagine every team had an X Factor, there's 32 of them, and every month they upgraded up and down based on real life performance. Man, that would be fun. I think that would be a good way. Also, you talking about the fantasy cards? I don't like, because of how bad content was, if you remove the fantasy cards or dialed them back, man, this year would be rough. It would be rough. But I understand because there is a potential chance where you end up overkilling them. What was it? This was like my early years. Was it NHL 18 or 19 where they introduced Evos and all they did was release like every card for like 3 months was an Evo card, where like which an Evo card, guys, was basically team of the season. They would go up and down. If a new card came out, that card would go match its overall. It was crazy. And it kind of killed every other event because it was like, oh, it's just these cards. So it ruins the value of other cards, right? So if you put too many fantasy cards out, I'm with you that it could cause some issues. I think that doing it for World Juniors, doing it for playoffs, doing it for the All-Star, anything like that is awesome. And then also just the fantasy event as a whole, where you can make any card you want. I thought that was a really nice touch that they did. I think to spruce up fantasy cards, it should be every stat. Like I've mentioned this before. You can they don't just have to be goal scorers, right? There can be goal scorers, right? But give me an all. I'm trying to think of a good example. I used Rempe as one, but like Matt Rempe goes up +1 overall for every 5 penalty minutes, right? Stuff like that. Tanev goes up for every 10 block shots, and he would go up 2 overall every game. Things like that. I think that's what should really change for the fantasy event. Thank you guys again. I cannot wait to test out the PWHL thing. So I could be completely wrong, but I thought it was super interesting, and I can't wait to see. But guys, hope you have a good rest of your day. We've got a new event today. So if you want, check out the Twitch stream. Go live at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Twitch.tv/NoSleeves12. Link is down below, and we'll check out all the new content. And if you can't, I'll see you in the video later on tonight. Have a good one, guys.